ask Neil about some Neely Men. I want to talk to you about some players that you manage and players that you played with, Jamie, and a bit of an insight into why maybe perhaps some players with lots of ability, lots of potential, maybe didn't end up getting to the level that they possibly should have done. We're not digging out any players here. We're talking about good players with ability that had good careers, but maybe you thought, Neil Warnock, as you're coaching them, as you're managing them, they were destined for even bigger things, but perhaps for whatever reason weren't able to maybe get to that level. I mean, do any players immediately come to mind when I ask you that question?
No, I mean, I had a few players that I thought would go and play. You know, when I first started, I had centre halves Craig Short, Dean Yates up at Notts County, who were very, very good players. Jagielka at Sheffield United. You know, there's a few that I've had, but my teams have never had, England internationals, really.
Well, Jagielka.
Well, yeah, Jags did. But I mean, in general, we worked hard. You know, we weren't the top class that you've got to be an international player. So no, it's I still enjoy looking at the Premier League and looking at England teams and thinking, would you like to? Because I thought Gareth was so close. Yeah. I just felt he needed somebody a little bit more aggression from somebody in his staff when in those knockout stages. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, I think Adel Taarabt's obviously somebody who coached, didn't he, for a few years. Right? Was he maybe in terms of like ability, maybe one of the more kind of?
Sorry, Sam, you don't coach Adel Taarabt.
What do you do to Adel Taarabt, Neil?
You let him do what he's good at, but you try and give him an area where he can do it to be good for the team. And because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just an amazing, skillful player. Yeah. And so we just let him do it in an area where it caused the opponents problems. Yeah. Whereas when I went to the club, he did it in an area that caused us problems. So it's just a matter of directing him. And I mean, I think even he enjoyed the season that year we went up.
It, yeah.
Even today, coming into the office here, two people stopped me and saying, QPR fans, I remember that Adel and all. They still talk about Adel Taarabt.
Yeah, I remember some of the goals he scored that season. He just did some incredible goals.
One of the goals. I was sat in the stand one day, and I can't remember whether I'd probably been banned again. And I remember at Loftus Road, he was in front of me in the stand, and he played a ball with his outside of his right foot over the top of two players in between, and went on and scored, and we scored a great goal.
Yeah, I've seen that goal. Yeah,
and it was
unbelievable.
It was just I've never seen a ball like it, mate, at that level.
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably the one that you go and say potential. I know he had a great season with Neil at QPR.
But he could have got even higher in his career.
I mean, I know. I think he ended up playing. I think he played for AC Milan or something. He went and played
Benfica.
He played some from big clubs, but when you look at the talent that he had, I mean, I played with Adel. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, of course.
It was outrageous. Like what he would do with a football was incredible.
But you couldn't get him in a team, could you?
No,
because Harry used to say to me, "I hope you know what you're doing with him." He said, "Because I couldn't do it with him."
Harry struggled.
He said, "I can't do it with him." See what you can do. He was so glad when I took him. I think. But,
I mean, you played, Jamie, the Spurs when you were a young player at Spurs. Yeah. I mean, you played with some amazing players in kind of similar age group to you. Did go on and have really good careers at Spurs. But you mentioned there Adel. Was there anybody else that you kind of were with that you maybe thought, oh God, he could have been around for so much longer in the Premier League?
There was so many good players at Tottenham. David Bentley, I think, was one. When he was amazing at Blackburn. He's a great lad, Dave. And
all the talk about him being a great one, the top of the he just seemed to when
he went to Tottenham, it just didn't quite happen for him, and he really wanted that move. And it just didn't quite fall for him. And technically, I was at Arsenal as a kid in the academy, and he was there. He was a couple of years older than me, and I remember going into to the training ground and watching him train as a young kid against like the Tony Adams and players, and he would destroy them. Like it was ridiculous. Like he was one man band. Everyone was like, "Who is this geezer?" And then he's obviously went and had a great career. But I just think when he was at Tottenham, I thought he could have
gone on to play for England many times.
For England,
many more times.
It could have been so more. Yeah. And I think he had a bad injury, his ankles, and that's he was one I look at and go, could have been a legend, but.
So you coach some great players, Neil, but I've got to ask you about a great story that I've heard you tell before. Not sure you told it on talkSPORT, but I've heard it before. Talking of Neely Men, you were once very close, weren't you, at Crystal Palace, to signing a very, very good defender from Scotland?
Oh, you tell me who it was. No, I know who it was, but you're not having that story. You're getting all my stories.
Oh, come on, Neil. talkSPORT breakfast. We need one story, don't we, Neil?
Well, it was. I wanted a centre half badly at Palace, and we were told about one in Scotland, and Ronnie Jepson went up to see him, and he played for Celtic, and he came back and said, "Yes, Gaffer, he's a good lad. We get £3 or £4 million and we can sign him." So I told the chairman at the time, and he went. And by that time, we'd all the clubs had started with this data thing, hadn't they? There were 2 or 3 lads in a computer looking at all the stats and everything. And he came back the next day and said, "I'm sorry, Neil, we don't want to go ahead with that." I said, and I asked him why, and he said because they don't think he's quick enough. So I said, yeah, he's not quick enough because he doesn't have to be quick in Scotland. He reads the game so good, he can stroll it. And well, if you don't mind, so we didn't go after him, and he ended up. He went to Southampton for £3 or $4 million, and then ended up playing for Liverpool and winning everything.
Yeah.
Virgil van Dijk. Yeah. And I said to him, we played Liverpool. When I was at Cardiff, and he came over to me. He said, "You could have signed me." I said, "I know." I said,
"Really?
I bet you were glad you were too slow for me."
That's amazing.
I loved it. He remembered as well. He remembered. I loved that.
He knew straight away, because it really, I think he wanted to come to Palace, if I'm honest, at that time. But I mean, that's how data's gone. I'm not saying they're not right about a lot of players, but all the computers, they don't tell you what they like, how much bloody heart they've got, what kind of player, what character they've got. Yeah. All they tell you. I went at Middlesbrough. When I was at Middlesbrough, I wanted a left back, and I couldn't sign anybody that season. The pre-season, it was a nightmare for me. I couldn't sign anybody. Anyhow, they come up with a left back, so I went and watched him on the video. Come and have a look. And the first 5 minutes, he battered somebody from behind. Second ball, he did a 1-2, and he lost him. And I said, "Hold on a minute, 5 minutes gone." I said, the lad can't defend. So they said, "Gaffer, he's got the best stats for headers. He wins more tackles." I said, "Are you listening to me? He can't defend. I don't want him." So, I mean, that's how it's got. I mean,
it's crazy.
I know this is fake news on the internet. Did you nearly sign Drogba when you were at Sheffield United in the Championship?
He was the one player who was recommended to me. And we went to look at him and didn't think... who was it that told me? Lauren de Jaffo said, "Gaffer, I've got to play." He played for me, Lauren de Jaffo, but he was a scout as well. And he said, "Gaffer, we've got a good player for this Drogba." and I said to him, "How is it?" "He plays in the second division." I said, "Lauren, give over."
No.
And then he got his move.
So it's your fault. So Didier Drogba could have been playing for Sheffield United in the Championship.
But just think how lucky he is. Because if he played for me in a Championship, he wouldn't have done what he's done and gone to Chelsea and been one of the best in the world.
So you could have had Virgil van Dijk as centre-back and Didier Drogba leading the line.
Done them both a favour.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.